All right, so number 11 is the last one I'm going to do for tonight's homework, and then tomorrow I will do a couple more videos about division and maybe another word problem. But number 11, if you did get a chance to work on it, or if you're stuck on it, I can help you with it right now. It says the table shows the cost per pound, that means for 1 pound of food items that you can buy in bulk at a grocery store. Mrs. Linden bought 1.25, which is 1¼ pounds of dried fruit. That's going to be one of the things we need to focus on. Dried fruits right here. And then 1/2 pound of cereal. So it looks like we're focusing on dried fruit and cereal. If Mrs. Linden paid for her items with a $5 bill, how much change, which I think is going to be subtraction, because we're going to subtract how much she has to pay from how much she actually gave the person, okay? So first thing we need to do is figure out how much she paid for these items. It would be really easy if they said she bought 1 pound of each of these. If she bought 1 pound of cereal, it'd be $2.38. If she bought 1 pound of dried fruit, it'd be $1.84. If she bought 2 pounds of cereal, you do 2.38 times 2. If she bought 2 pounds of dried fruit, you would do $1.84 times 2. That's a good way to think about it to try to figure out what you're doing in this problem. So now I know that we are multiplying how much the food items cost times how much of each of those items we got. If you've been paying attention in class, you know this about me. I like to label different things that I'm working on if they're multi-step problems. So in this case, we're going to do the dried fruit, and then we're going to do the cereal. We're going to add them together to figure out how much she's going to pay total, and then we're going to subtract from $5. So I don't even know if I have enough room here. This is why a notebook would be good, but I'm going to try to fit it in here. So we're looking at 1.25 pounds of dried fruit, and dried fruit is $1.84. So if I do $1.84 times 1.25, I'm going to run out of room here because I need 3 lines, and this is going to be almost impossible to fit. All right, but I think I can do it. That's going to be 20, 40, and 42. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9. Cross this out. I'm going to drop a 0. That's going to be 8, 16. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. I'm going to cross that out. I'm going to drop 2 zeros. I know it's hard to see, but we're going to keep going. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. You add those together, you get 0. That's going to be 8 and 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10. Plus another 6 and 4 is 10. That's 20. Carry the 2. That's going to be 13. Carry the 1. That's 2. So now we have to move this back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like the dried fruit cost $2.30 for 1.25 pounds. Now I'll do the cereal. The cereal is $2.38. This one's going to be easier because they only got 1/2 pound, which technically means you could just cut this in half by dividing it by 2. But since we are multiplying, I'm going to do times 0.5. Notice I did not line up the decimals. Only when you're adding and subtracting you line up the decimals. When you're multiplying, you put the shortest number on the bottom, multiply from bottom to top, right? So 5 times 8, 40. 5 times 3 is 15, plus the 4 is 19. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Now I'm going to move it back 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's going to be $1.19. So for the cereal, you get 1/2 pound of the cereal. It's only going to be $1.19. She goes up to the register. They type it in the register. She finds out she owes a total of $3.49. Almost done. But she hands them a $5 bill. So now I'm going to take $5, and since we're subtracting decimals, we do have to line up the decimals in this. I'm going to add 2 zeros to 5, that's still $5, $3.49. This is a great problem. They did this on purpose. They wanted to probably give students a problem where you had to borrow, and then in the next column there was nothing. So this is a good review as well. I want to borrow from this, right, because I can't take 9 away from 0, so I went to borrow from this column, but there's nothing there, so we have to go to the other neighbor, keep going until we get this, to a number that has a number that we can borrow. So now the 5 becomes a 4, but we pass it on to this number, which becomes a 10, but we still have to pass it on to the 0 that we started with. So now this will become a 9, and this will become a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1, 9 minus 4 is 5, and 4 minus 3 is 1. So Mrs. Linden should expect to get $1.51 back in change after all is said and done.